Wednesday, May 27th. It's a little bit different than our normal setup, but we are going to begin. And our today's topic we're going to talk about and cover has to do with search. Now, search is what we've been doing for a long time. Most of us are pretty good at it. You know, what do you mean? I know how to use Google. What's the big deal? But we're going to look at a little bit more advanced search. And what I mean by that is kind of customizing what you're looking for to narrow it down before you even begin. It's easy to just go to google.com, type in the thing you're looking for, and search everything. But if you already know kind of where to start, that's going to help you out a lot. And especially as something that we can provide for our students as well. I'm going to get them to kind of not just take what comes up on the first page, but actually deep dive a little bit further in. So I'm going to start with a screen share. I'm going to use the same account we've been talking about before, kind of my placeholder account, the student account. And so the idea here is if we had students that want to start searching for different generic things, how can they kind of narrow down to start with? So the first thing I'm going to do, if I'm looking not just for regular information, if I search for something in here, you'll find the list is normal, and it's worth the kids knowing. Let me just search for something else that would have an ad with it. Let me look for a computer. So if I'm looking for a computer, let's say I'm looking for a laptop or a desktop or something like that, the first handful of links right at the top are going to be ads. That means they were paid to place there. Now, sometimes that's fine, and sometimes that's not. But it's worth the kids knowing that the first handful of links right at the top, they will be identified as such, but usually it's kind of subtle. Right. Sometimes they may call them, content that is, they call it supported content or source content. And so what we want to do here, if I'm looking for something specifically, I would go to a specific site to search for it. I mentioned this one the other day when I'm looking for technology, or if I'm looking for something, I'm looking to purchase something. The Wirecutter is a really good site to use reviewed items. So basically, they make their living off from, if you search for something, if you're looking for the best garden hose, they'll go through and search all kinds of them, and they'll do all kinds of tests on them. It's kind of like Consumer Reports used to be. I could use Reports as a change a little bit. But with that now is basically they get the link. If you're going to buy one, if I click on, let's say I'm looking for the best garden hose. If I click on one of these to buy, they actually get their money from an affiliate link. What that means, if I click on this, it will go to Amazon, most likely, or this one goes to Target, but they get just a little portion of money based on them sending you there. And so that's how they're funded. And really what it comes down to when you're talking about searching is whatever the information that you found, how are they supporting that? Is it ad driven? Is it link driven? Is it attention driven? One of the reasons why we have a lot of the issues we have now is there are certain sites like let's say Facebook or even YouTube or that kind of thing, where their whole job is to get your attention. Their whole job is to get you to click that next link or watch that next video. And so everything they do is made to be able to do that. And so wherever you're looking at information, looking at resources, you want to be thinking about how are they finding this information, what is their source. If I'm looking specifically for images, let's say I'm going to narrow it down. Now, we know about the image link up here in the upper right. That's been around for a long time. So if I'm looking for something, let's say I'm going to look for cats. There's a bunch of adorable cats, cool. And they'll give you some little, a little bit more descriptors here, kittens, babies, fluffy, that kind of thing. But let's say I'm looking for certain types of cats. We talked a little bit about this. Actually, I'll just do cats so we don't get the movie involved in there. If looking for something specific, let's say I wanted one that has a transparent background or that's a moving cat, like an animation. When I'm searching, if you click over here on the right, click on Tools, I can choose by a little bit more advanced tool searches. So here's size. So if I want larger ones, icons, very small ones, certain colors. So if I want transparent ones, I could click transparent right here. And what that means is around the border, if I click on one of these, you'll notice that around the border, it will be a gray and white checkerboard. That means that this image, if I want to use this image, the border wouldn't come with it. So I would be able to kind of float that on top of it. Let's say I put that into a Google slide or whatever I'm looking for, whatever document I'm looking for. This is called alpha key. And basically what that means is there's one color right here that won't come with it. Another option here, I'll go back to any color. If I go to Tools, usage rights. Now, again, this is a discussion with students. Is right now one of the reasons why kids like using the regular Google image search is because everything's open. You can basically use anything. Now, generally speaking, in education, there is a thing called fair use, which means you're using it for educational purposes. You're not making money on it, so it's usually fine. But it's still worth having the conversation with students. If they need to label for reuse, meaning these are things that people have said, yes, you can use this image and I'm okay with you using it, that's great. But if you don't have that, again, it's, older grades probably, I would have this discussion, what about non-commercial reuse with modification? That means, can you change the picture itself? Not only can you use this picture, can I make edits to it as well? And we can have that conversation. If you're not sure, what's the best way, I would definitely look at, and I won't show this now, but there is a Creative Commons video called Get Creative. And if you Google it here, right here, Get Creative. I'm not going to play this whole thing right now, but when I introduce this to students, I usually start here. And what it does is it goes through the basics very easily with what does copyright mean? What does it look like? Why do we have copyright? It's a very easy, 6 minutes long. So this is where I start with students. It's a great video that kind of explains it. And it's kind of a fun way to do it. When they're done, the kids have a better understanding of why they may not use, a copyrighted image. So jumping back here to our cat pictures, let's go back to tools. We did different transparencies. We talked about usage rights. Here's different type of images. Now, right now, we're looking at any type. Clip art, just like it sounds like, these are going to be little, cartoon drawings or kind of two-dimensional drawings usually. Line art, going to be figures, just black and white drawings mostly. And finally, GIFs. Now, the GIFs are going to be animated. And what that means is they're actually going to move. So if I click on one of these, let's see, I don't know what this one does. Let's see what happens here. Okay, so this one's moving. So if I added that image into my Google slideshow or somewhere else on the web, it would be moving. Now, we've all seen animated GIFs like, maybe in a text message, maybe as a meme, that kind of thing. But this is where I could find those. If I'm looking for one particular, here I can find them. And then finally, the last kind of setting in here is time. So if I want to find something, a picture from the last week or month or year and so forth. This is especially useful, I think, when we're talking about news. Right now, if you're trying to keep up, if you just search for something and the top link is months old or years old, it may not be as useful. But if I look within the last week or month or 24 hours, of course, it helps it out a little bit more. Other types of unique searches, not just images, books. So if I go to books.google.com, now there's two things here. I can just search for words. I can just search, we just search cat. Let's search for cat in here as well. Looking in Google Books, there's all kinds of cat books, which is cool. But if you also notice here, if I go down, there's my library. And what that does is you can actually have your own library of books, meaning like they're basically books that you add to this. And you can make your own bookshelf. So I could call this one, here are my cat books. And it's kind of like a sub list that you create yourself. And if you want to add a book, you don't have to necessarily buy the book itself. You can go search for a book and you can add it to your library. So let's go find a cat book. I'm going to search it up here. Let's find this book right here. Okay, here's looks kind of like Cat in the Hat, but I think it's like not exactly the Cat in the Hat book, but I'm going to add it right in here. I'm going to add it to my library. So I'm going to click on this. Which one do I want to add to? Which bookshelf, which digital bookshelf? I can click cat books right here. Click done. And now if I scroll down to my cat books, I'll notice I have the book itself. Now all the information goes with it. This doesn't mean that you have to buy the book. It just means that this is a list of the books you want. So we do 25 books in our district of quantity, quality, range, and depth. So you could have a book list that is just the books they've read for a certain grade level that would be listed here. Now, the cool thing about this is if you search on your library, it's actually searching in the books themselves. It's not just searching the text. It's actually searching, oh yeah, the word cat appears in this book. Now this is an easy one because it has right in the title. But if you were looking for certain words, let's look here. Notice here on the right side, we've got this kind of blue links right here. I can actually jump to the images where the word cat appears within the book itself. So think about this. You're not just giving the kids a list of books. You're actually giving them a searchable database of all the words inside those books. And the reason why is because Google has scanned all the words inside of most books, maybe not 100%, but a lot of them they've added right here. So again, it's not just searching, the titles and authors, it's actually searching within the book itself. Pretty amazing. So that's another kind of specialized search, not just, kind of generic search, but book search. There's one final one I'm going to share today. And this is one we have talked about before, but I think it's worth mentioning again. This is you creating your own search engine. So you're taking the big picture here of all the different places and you're narrowing it down for students. A good example of this, let's say I have younger students and I want them to search, images of different animals, but I don't want them to search everything. So for example, if they search Panthers, they're not going to come up with, the Carolina Panthers. They're not going to come up with football teams or the Black Panthers or whatever. They're just going to come up with the animal Panthers. So you can create a custom search that just narrows it down to certain websites. So I'll get started here. How I find this, the easiest way I find is CSE, which stands for Custom Search Engine. So customsearchengine.google.com. Here it is. I'm going to call this one, we'll name the search engine Animals. Cool. Where's a website to search? Again, I don't want to search everything. I'm just going to search certain sites. So one site I might want is National Geographic. I know this is one, let's say National Geographic for kids. So I know this is kid friendly. I know this is, it's going to be fine. Everything's going to be appropriate. So I can use that link right here, kids.nationalgeographic.com. And I can add that link to my own custom search engine. Okay, so that's one. Let's go find another one. So let's see, there's another kids animal. Let's find another good site. Clip art. I don't want YouTube. Let's get Scholastic and San Diego Zoo. That sounds like a good one. Okay, so I want the San Diego Zoo site. That's just for kids. I'm going to copy that link right here. And so I'm doing the work in this case for, and I would probably do this for younger kids, of kind of narrowing it down initially. So they're not searching everywhere and coming up with who knows what. They're kind of starting from certain places that you're limiting it for them. So I'm going to go through. I could keep adding more and more links and more sites here. You can add at any time, even after it's created. You can keep adding to those sites to keep building it. This one's called Animals. Cool. I'm going to click Create. Okay. I want to add this custom search engine to my website. So I'm going to click here, Get Code. This code, we've talked a little bit about this before, but this is an embed code. So I'm going to copy that. Okay. So the embed code, when we talked about Google Sites, now I think we did that, last Friday or Thursday is one of our shows. So if you have a Google site and you want to insert an embed code, you can add your own search engine right on your own website. So I'm going to copy this text right here. I'm going to go back to my homepage. This is just a Google site we talked about before. I'm going to add a embed code right here. Okay, so on the right side, I'm in edit mode right now. I'm going to copy and paste that embed code. There it is. Click Next. Okay, that looks cool. Click Insert. So there is my custom search engine that I made in my site that kids could use that just is for those websites. Again, it doesn't search everywhere. And if I publish this, it's going to look just like, basically like a regular, let me click Publish. And you can view it, what it would look like. It's going to look basically the same as a regular website. But if I search for Panthers here, notice here let me scroll down a little bit. It's just searching for things that would be appropriate for younger kids. Again, National Geographic, the San Diego Zoo, all that kind of stuff. And again, let's say I want to go back and add more to it. This isn't good enough. This is not enough selections here. I can come back to my custom search. Okay, if I go back to my search engines, they will be stored. Okay, so I can set it up again, or I can look at it. Here's a description if I want to add one. If I want to add more links here, I can keep adding more sites right here. I can add another site to it. It will keep doing it. Search the entire web off. Again, I only want to search these select sites. Ads, if I click up in here, I'm going to turn those off. Those are already off by default. Image safe search, I'm going to turn that one on. Now, again, it's probably fine because if you're customizing which links go in there, you're probably fine. But why not add that to it as another layer of security? You also can change the look of it. Somewhere in here, right here, look and feel. So if you want it to look like this, like it did before, cool. Let's say you want to have it a little bit wider, or if you want to have 2 columns, or if you want to have images in here. Again, you can change what the look of it is. Here's some themes if you want to change the colors of it. So there's like a reddish theme, or that one looks pretty cool. That's like got it looks like almost like a box sticking out. So let's say I want this theme here. I'm going to save and get code. I'm going to copy that new code right here. That text. Go back to my home page like I had before. I'm going to edit this with the one I had before. So I'm going to click over here to edit it, little pencil. Well, let's delete that one and paste the new one. So this is the new version I just did. Next. And now, again, it's the same one. It just looks a little different. It looks a little bit cooler that kids can see right there. And they can click on that. Again, I might put a title over it and saying, like, use this search bar for your animal project or something like that. And maybe it's a worthwhile. Maybe if you have older students, hey guys, we should really come up with a good search engine that help us do our content, for a math search engine or a science search engine, just about, we're doing, geography right now. So just about Africa or whatever it is, whatever your topics are, you can kind of customize that down and build that right into your site. Search features. You could even customize what it looks like back here. So when you actually have the refinements. Statistics, again, this is probably not super interesting, but you actually can track how many people have used your custom search engine. All right, so let's see what we've got here. So there's my one search engine. Again, if I want to add another one, I can add them and keep on going. So I think that's something, it's a tool that's super handy. I don't think we use it that often, but I do think it's one that's worthwhile bringing up and hopefully incorporating that into our sites and into what we're doing anyway. All right, let's go check to see if there's any other questions about search coming up. Sure, somebody mentioned about adding the link. So if you have a link, so we'll start that again. So let's say I want to add the National Geographic link. So National Geographic, and I'm just going to do for kids. So here is a link. I'm going to click on that first. So I have my link up at the top here. Now, one thing you'll notice in these links up at the top, it doesn't show you where it says http:// blah, 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 all that kind of garbage in the front, but it's there, even though you don't have to have all that. So if I click up in the address bar, I'm going to copy it. You can right click, copy, or I can click Control-C to copy that link. That's going to copy that address up here. If I go back to my custom search engine, and again, this is the long name, but if you go cse.google.com, it is in the show notes, by the way. So if you want to go to that, rshu19.info, you'll see a link there as well. If I want to add it to an existing search engine I already have, if I want to add a new one, I'm going to click on the one I already have. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. I want to add a new link in here. So I'm going to click Add. Here I go. I can paste. Okay. Do I want to label it? No. The other thing that's worth mentioning, I'm going to put this, you can technically have a subset of links. So let's say, for example, I had nationalgeographic.com/kids or something like that. There's like a subset that you want. You don't want the entire website. You just want a subsection. You can actually do that. Again, most likely you're not going to worry about that, but it is possible. Let's say you don't want to do, for example, the Smithsonian. That's too big. You want to do the Smithsonian, but the section on, ancient Mesopotamia or something like that. You can kind of narrow it down if you want to get that customized. I'll click Save. And again, I have this one twice, but here's my links here. And by doing that, it's automatically saved in your one you've already have on your site. So I don't have to go back to my website and refresh it again. It's already done. It's already been done. That's pretty much it for that part. The other thing I wanted to share about search, okay, not just searching generally. This is, google.com, just regular searching, looking for things. I want to share search within Drive as well, because it can get confusing. And again, they have a lot more features here than we kind of think of. So in Google Drive, let's regular my Google Drive. The way that Google thinks, again, for right or wrong, is we get so much stuff in here. Now, this account is a dummy account, so it's very few things in here. But most of us, when we go to our Google Drive, it's overwhelming. There's so much stuff in there. And so what this one does is, if they kind of their mindset was, you're not going to actually organize all your stuff. You're just going to search for it later on. Now, some of us, that works for, some of us may not. But they do give us a lot of advanced features in Drive to be able to use that. I can search up here just for a title, but if it's not, advanced enough, I can click this little pull down and this will appear. Also, you might have noticed too, if I click on that advanced search appears, it's the same thing. So this little pull down on the right side. So this is advanced search. It's basically more criteria how to find that thing you're looking for. So maybe I know I'm looking for a presentation. Look at that. So that's going to narrow down a presentation. Who is the owner? Anybody? Me? Definitely not by me or a specific person. I can change that too. Location, again, is it in the trash, in the starred? Usually anywhere is what I'll do because it could be anywhere. What if it's a document? Okay, I knew I just edited it, a week ago. It's not, 10 months ago, whatever. So I can customize that too if I want to. Does it have a name in it? Does it have a word name? Does it have a word in the document itself? So let's say you have a ton of documents and you're just looking for a certain word. I know I had the word, Panthers in it. So I need to search for things that have that word in it. Is it shared with a certain person and so forth? So I can search. And now this rarefied search, you'll notice up here. So this one gave me the words after a certain date and a certain type. And here are all the different lists, here. Theoretically, they make it so that we can search for documents rather than just, name them appropriately. Sometimes we can't find, if I have trouble finding things that I know I did it, but I just can't find it. So I just keep poking around until I kind of keep narrowing it down. Maybe it's in a certain folder. So I can click on here and say, okay, I know it was in this certain folder under my drive. It was under public work. I know it was in there somewhere. Let's search inside of there and see what happens. No, it wasn't in that one. Again, you can keep looking and hopefully find it. But Drive has its own set of searches. And to be honest with you, if I click back here, not only Google Drive, but Gmail, the same thing. Again, this Gmail is going to be pretty empty compared to what ours probably is. But when Google first released Gmail years ago, when it first released it, it actually didn't give a delete button. And the reason why, they said, well, never, we have so much storage, you'll never have to delete anything. You could just archive it. And if I do click on something, I can click up here on this little down arrow and that archives it. Basically just saves it somewhere else out of here. But they finally got to acquiesce, and I did add a delete button right here, which is useful if you just want to get rid of it, you don't care. But the big thing that it's worth mentioning is if you do want to search, again, up here, this little pull down triangle, there are advanced searches just like there was in Drive and in regular Google search. So from a certain person, does it have a certain word in it? Does it have an attachment with it? Was it on a certain calendar day? Like I know it was in the last month, but I can't remember which one, a date within 1 month or whatever it is. So again, it gives you that kind of narrowing it down, and hopefully you can find that email you're looking for, searching rather than just kind of, pulling it up directly. All right, let's jump back to Crystal mentioned, I heard you say, I hope it includes Google Drive. Yes, I did not hear that, but I read your mind. So I knew you wanted to do Google Drive as well. It is kind of the world we live in now where there's so much information. We create our own amounts of information that it's not easy to organize it all. In fact, it takes more time for us to organize everything than as we're creating data, it's just going in the right places and we can find it later on. There are obviously tips and tricks. We kind of help with that as much as we can. Little routines we can get into. Really naming things is really important. Not for us right now, but a year from now, 2 years from now, finding things later on. But Google's gotten better and better about helping us do that for right or wrong. For the good of it is we can find things and at the same time we have to store it there. So the last thing I'll mention today, and again, I know we had a short one today just because I had a meeting earlier, but is if you are using Screencastify, and I know a lot of us have been for a lot of things, which is great. At some point it is going to go away. We had the free version. We've been having the free version, but at some point they're going to stop supporting that for free for everybody. They're going to kind of do the paid version. So what I would recommend start to do is use Google Meet, which is going to be free now for the next year, as your Screencastify, basically using it like we're doing right now. I open up you can do your own private one. You don't have to do a public one, but go to meet.google.com, click start now, and you've got your screen. In the lower right-hand corner, you'll see these 3 dots and you can click record now. And just like I've been doing, you'll see a video of yourself and the screen itself. If you don't want the video of yourself, you can turn off your camera. That's fine. It will still record your audio, but you'll have a screenshot just like you would in Screencastify. And the only reason why I'm kind of starting to wean people off of it, not because it's not a good tool, it's just I don't know how many, if we'll pay for something where we have a free version that people can use pretty comparably, pretty much the same thing. So just kind of FYI, as we go forward, we'll kind of start that process. So with that, oh, thank you, Patty, very much. It's great to have you. Hopefully you can create a Latin custom search engine that's specifically for, yeah, that'd be kind of fun. Have your kids do that. That'd be kind of a cool thing. All right, guys, just FYI, so I will not be on tomorrow. Tomorrow we're having the Milty Student Conference. We have students from all over the state coming together to do a virtual conference, which will be kind of fun. Usually, obviously, every year we've done this face-to-face. This will be the first year that's done virtually. But I will be back on Friday to kind of make up for that, and we'll finish the week talking about the future of distance learning and what that looks like. So I will not see you tomorrow, but I will hopefully see you on Friday. Thank you, everybody, and see you later.